Mesmerized by the Addams family mansion? You're not alone. Why is it that this house, gloomy and grand, still captivates us decades later? Behind the cobwebs and the charm stands an iconic Gothic revival masterpiece that, in fact, set the foundation for many haunted mansions to come. Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Jacqueline, and if you don't know, I'm an interior designer with a background in interior architecture, and today I'm breaking down the architecture and interiors that make this fictional home a real design icon. Halloween is less than a week away now, and I really wanted to create this fun Halloween themed video, kind of like how The Simpsons always do a Treehouse of Horror episode every year, and I thought to myself, which better spooky family to talk about other than the spooky family themselves? And binge watching the Wednesday series, season 2 on Netflix, admittedly, may have fueled my interest in more macabre architectural styles. So if you've always been enamoured by the Gothic glamour of the Addams family mansion and Nevermore Academy, let's jump in. Before the Addams family became the cultural icons we know today, with their gloomy charm, creaking staircases and cobweb-laden halls, they actually first appeared as a single panel cartoon drawn by Charles Addams for The New Yorker in 1938. And it was actually based on a house that Addams himself knew in his neighbourhood when he was growing up in New Jersey. These cartoons weren't about any one story or show at first. They were just simply glimpses into the life of a delightfully morbid family who found joy in the macabre. Addams had a fascination with old, decaying mansions and dark humour, often pairing eerie visuals with witty, understated captions, and that contrast became his signature. He said himself that he thought a Gothic Victorian would be the perfect backdrop for his cartoon family. And in 1964, his famous cartoons were developed into a TV show on ABC. Around the time other supernatural TV shows were being released, like The Monsters, I Dream of Jeannie, and Bewitched. And before you guys start off in the comments saying, I'm too young to know what that is, I was actually brought up on these shows because of my mother. The woman has taste. 21 Chester Place in Los Angeles served as the exterior in the 1964 sitcom, a grand shadowy house that perfectly matched the family's eccentricity. However, in other episodes, a painting of a more dramatized exterior was also used interchangeably for the sprawling Gothic Victorian mansion. By the time the Addams family hit TV, the house was more than just a backdrop. It was a character in its own right. The production design drew heavily from Gothic Revival and Queen Anne styles, and over time it's just kind of morphed even more into a Gothic Victorian exaggeration. First, let's look at the original Addams family mansion. The Addams family mansion is a perfect example of Second Empire architecture. Some of the distinctive architectural characteristics I can see are a mansard roof, which is a four-sided roof with two slopes on each side, ornate cornices and brackets, coins, cast iron cresting, more specifically a widow's walk, and finials along the roof, and of course these rounded dormer windows. Combined, these create a vertical imposing silhouette, a structure that commands attention and almost feels alive. So if you look closely at the Addams family mansion, nearly every single hallmark of Second Empire style is there. Second Empire architecture, also known as Napoleon III style, originated in the mid-19th century France during the reign of Napoleon III. It was a period marked by grandeur, urban renewal, and a fascination with classical forms reimagined for modern living. By the 1860s and 1870s, Second Empire architecture had crossed the Atlantic and become a favoured style for public buildings and wealthy homes in the United States. In the US, however, architects often combined the Second Empire style with other popular styles at the time, including Gothic Revival and Italianate, creating eclectic, highly ornamental homes that captured the imagination of the era. So it's worth noting that there's actually also a strong Queen Anne influence with the mansion. The asymmetrical facade, the porch to the side, woodwork rather than brickwork, and detailing. Second Empire architecture is usually symmetrical, imposing, and defined by its mansard roof. while Queen Anne architecture is asymmetrical, more picturesque, and characterised by its diverse decorative details. Details like intricate spindlework, towers, and wraparound porches. Think gingerbread architecture. The result of blending Gothic Revival and Queen Anne into a home, I think, results in elegance, but also eeriness. In my opinion, every pointed arch, turret, and decorative shingle reinforces the mansion's character. A house that's simultaneously welcoming yet intimidating, refined but macabre. As a side note, if you're enjoying the video so far, please leave a like and a comment. I really appreciate that. I read every single one. And of course, if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe. The set design for the original Addams Family series was a mix of Gothic and Victorian, which commonly overlap in design. Aptly described in the song, "Their house is a museum," the Addams interior reflected a late Victorian Gothic Revival aesthetic, with dark wood panelling, carved furniture, velvet drapery, and stained glass accents. The original interior was actually a reused set from the movie The Unsinkable Molly Brown. With dark stained wood and ornate detailing, it made the house look like it was from another era. I think that the family mansion really reflected the characters' eccentric personalities, a blend of Victorian opulence, Gothic elegance, and macabre whimsy. The production design, I think, leaned into rich textures and visual clutter, lace tassels, ornate lamps, and heavy patterned wallpaper to create a sense of depth and timelessness. When the Addams Family was reimagined for the big screen in 1991, production designer Richard MacDonald set out to create a mansion that felt larger, darker, and far more eerie than the 1960s television set. The result was a breathtaking Gothic Revival fantasy, a home that managed to be both grandly decayed and strangely inviting. It had the same sense of opulence that the 1964 house did, but it dialed everything up. The lighting, the scale, the architectural detailing. The production team drew inspiration from 19th century Gothic Revival estates and Queen Anne mansions, combining their ornate craftsmanship with a moodier, more theatrical palette. I think it's safe to say that Victorian Gothic interiors were the epitome of drama. Born from a 19th century fascination with medieval architecture and symbolism. These spaces were richly layered, filled with dark wood panelling, carved furniture, velvet draperies, intricate wallpaper, stained glass, and ornate metalwork. I think that every surface was decorated, every object had a presence, and it created this kind of mysterious and opulent effect, which is just so funny to me because that is the complete antithesis of today's current design trends. By adopting this style for the previous TV show and movies, I think it really helped to form the consensus surrounding what a spooky or haunted home should look like. The more recent iteration of everyone's favourite kooky family is, of course, Netflix's Wednesday series, that Laszlo and I have been loving at the moment, by the way, which really is actually what inspired me to create this video in the first place. In Wednesday, her boarding school, Nevermore Academy, reintroduces people into the Addams Family universe. Through an updated lens, one that merges classic Gothic Revival architecture with a contemporary cinematic flair, very on brand for Tim Burton. To allude to an even spookier setting and make the building feel a lot more Gothic, gargoyles have been added to the sides, which you can tell have been added on by production because you typically wouldn't see gargoyles on a non-religious building. It's actually a really interesting design because the style is an eclectic mix of Gothic design, Second Empire architecture, as well as a local architectural style. So as much as I love the creation they've conjured for the show, I can definitely tell that it's fake. Nevermore's architecture draws directly from 19th century Gothic Revival, the same design movement that inspired the original Addams Family mansion. The use of vertical lines, steeply pitched roofs, lancet windows, and intricate tracery creates a sense of both height and drama, evoking the look of a medieval castle. Season 1 of Wednesday was filmed on location in Romania, and a building was actually used as a shell for the production design, but it was heavily edited in post-production using CGI. Cantacuzino Castle, which is in the neo-Romanian style, a late 17th and early 18th century style that mixed Byzantine, Ottoman and late Renaissance details. And as you can see, is very different from the post-production take on the show. And in Wednesday Season 2, I believe the production moved all the way to Ireland for the filming location, filming in and around Charleville Castle. So the romantic arabesque arches vanished and rib vaulting and perpendicular tracery started to appear, highlighting Ireland's medieval architecture. The Great Hall feels like a Gothic cathedral, filled with ancestral portraits and heavy stone columns, a space that evokes reverence and absurdity all at once. Inside, the Nevermore Academy interiors continue this blend of historic influence and modern production design. The stone corridors, arched windows, and candlelit halls all nod to a Gothic setting, but they're balanced with a clean cinematic aesthetic, rich jewel tones, controlled lighting, and careful symmetry that keeps the space feeling immersive rather than cluttered. The set design for Rotwood's cottage was my favourite because they actually showed the interior transformation from chintzy pink to rich Gothic glamour.
Who decorated this place?
A homicidal maniac.
The elaborate fireplace here is my favourite piece of set design in the whole show, or maybe the stained glass window in Enid and Wednesday's room. I really can't decide. Nevermore isn't decrepit like the Addams mansion. It's meticulously preserved, a place where Gothic style has evolved, not decayed. What's interesting to me is that the mansion in the 1960s version was maximalist and ornate. In the 1991 film, it was darkly romantic and spooky, and in Wednesday's Nevermore Academy, it was sleek, historic and timeless. All the same family and homes, but they all had their unique character. And I think it proves that Gothic design is endlessly adaptable and timeless. It's kind of sad that we don't see rose windows being made anymore, for example. From films to theme parks, the Addams family mansion has become the gold standard. An archetype every haunted house, I think, still echoes to this day. Please leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the video, I really appreciate that, and believe it or not, it really helps to grow the channel. And we also have a membership program on the channel if you're interested. And if you need help fulfilling your own design dreams, I've left our website in the description. I really hope that you enjoyed this spooky video edition from us and that the breakdown gave you a new appreciation for Gothic revival style. But that's it for today's video, guys. I hope that you have a very happy Halloween.